protected spaces in almost every country on Earth. On land, in the sea, even in some of our endangered polar regions. Nature is so resilient if you just give it a chance. But in this world that's getting warmer and more crowded, we've got to do more. And if we're going to hang on to more of these wild places we depend on, each of us has a role to play.
As well as raising environmental awareness through stories like our great national parks, Netflix is supporting some inspiring nature-based projects led by partner organizations around the world as part of its public Net Zero Plus nature commitment. By investing in something called carbon credits, from pioneering projects that are not only finding ways to look after nature's existing carbon storage, but to turn it into credit. Investment that yields rewards for nature and for people too. So how do carbon credits actually work in practice? This is the Kasigao Corridor Red Plus project run by Wildlife Works in Savo.
Karibu Kasigao Corridor Red Project, Kenya. Wildlife plus human coexist.
Located between two national parks, Savo East and Savo West, the Kasigao Red Plus project is an inspiring example of how conservation, collaboration, and community can effectively come together to create sustainable change. As well as protecting the incredible wildlife that calls this place home, the project also retains a mighty 2,000 square kilometers of valuable dryland forest, thousands of trees, and precious healthy soil that locks away carbon, preventing it from entering our atmosphere and keeping this wild space healthy. But what's been particularly pioneering about this forest conservation project is that, as well as helping the wilderness, it focuses on investing into the community here too. With over 120,000 local people benefiting from the project since it started over 25 years ago. This wild space looked and felt very different to how it does today.
Before the project started, this area, it was almost turning as a desert. We had livestock everywhere, every corner of this area. People were coming in, doing charcoal burning freely because there were no controls at all.
Charcoal burning involves burning wood to create fuel that's used across Kenya for cooking and heating. But in the process, it creates large-scale deforestation and releases tons of carbon emissions into our atmosphere, destroying precious ecosystems and valuable carbon storage. And charcoal burning wasn't the only challenge facing the forest.
A lot of our forests were cleared for what we call the slash and burn agriculture, where people clear massive chunks of land. Those were very unsustainable projects that happened before Wildlife Works.
10 years back, most of the wildlife like elephants and giraffes were going extinct due to poaching activities. But recently, due to Wildlife Works coming in, a lot of wildlife have been protected, which brings hopes for the future generation.
So when the project started, we had 0 elephants within the area. And as time goes by, the numbers started increasing because there was a lot of security within the project area. The area was well maintained. We looked after the trees, so there was no more logging. There was no more poaching. And now elephants started finding this as a safe home because they were not poached.
Thanks to the project and coordination of conservation partners on the ground, elephant poaching has decreased from almost 50 being poached in a single year at the height of the crisis to an average of 2 to 3 elephants per year today. This is a huge conservation success story of which unarmed rangers play a vital role by helping to create a safe haven for wildlife, monitoring for poachers from the sky and on the ground. A key part of this project is empowering women to take on vital roles in the community.
In our society, women are not considered anything. To be a female ranger, it's a good thing because for me, I didn't know if I can do this job, but it was a passion inside me. I remember one day that we came and I arrested a poacher. I didn't realize that I can arrest a poacher. There were 2 of them. I caught one of them, and it was the best day of my life because I arrested him and I took him to court and he was jailed.
As well as protecting elephants, keeping this wild space healthy is also important for many other species that live here. Scientists monitor the health of the environment through surveys and camera traps, data and measurements which inform how the project is impacting the wilderness and where there is room to improve, making sure there is continued positive change for the corridor and surrounding national parks. But the relationship between people and wildlife isn't always an easy one.
The biggest problem here is human-wildlife conflict. That is the giant, that is the elephant in the room. So that is the problem which is affecting the people. A lion comes and eats your cattle, you are not paid. Elephant comes and eats your crops, you are not paid.
We've been able to work with community members to come up with ideas on how we can reduce the human-wildlife conflict. This involves coming up with elephant deterrent measures like putting up the Kasaini fence, which has really worked well for farms. We've tried to build more water ponds in the sanctuary so that wildlife cannot come to the community areas. They can access pasture plus water inside the sanctuary. And we've seen it working well. And this is because of the collaboration between Wildlife Works, the Rangers team, the community, and all of us. We've come together, we've agreed that we will make sure that these forests are here. They are intact so that we can continue getting the benefits that come from those forests.
Community projects range from eco-charcoal production that doesn't damage the forest, to projects that generate sales from the production of eco-friendly products made from local materials, like soaps, fabrics, clothing, and local crafts like basket weaving, to greenhouse activities like tree nurseries, and agricultural programs that teach people sustainable farming techniques. All led by different parts of the community, including groups for women, for youth, and for people with disabilities. The communities here are encouraged to think about their priorities and to propose ideas on where the funds generated by carbon credit sales are spent. A collaborative approach that means local communities are involved in the decisions that affect them, the dryland forest in the Kasagao corridor, and the national parks around them. In addition to giving people livelihoods that support the wilderness, a key part of this project is enabling community projects that bring people together. Like this greenhouse initiative for widows, which creates a space where women can not only learn, but have support and renewed purpose.
When you empower a woman, you have empowered the whole community. Women needed to be trained in agriculture, and also how to plant seedlings well, and they needed to be empowered in a leadership.
As well as supporting women, a big change driven by the project is enabling access to safe water in a semi-arid area. From building water storage tanks to extending pipelines and even establishing new techniques, like harvesting water through rooftops. Giving more people access to water for food, crops, and survival. Made possible via the carbon credit sales that the project generates from the community, keeping the surrounding forest healthy. But how is it possible to calculate and quantify how much carbon is being stored by these protected trees to generate sales?
The purpose of my department is collecting data for carbon calculations, then the data is analyzed.
Carbon sampling involves measuring trees to calculate the amount of carbon stored in them, which can vary depending on the species of the tree, their structure, and age. Once Joshua and his team have gathered data from the trees and the soil, the information is shared with people over in the USA who calculate how much carbon is being stored, and carbon credits are issued. 1 ton of carbon emissions avoided by keeping the forest standing is 1 credit. The more trees, the more credits can be generated. These credits help offset unavoidable emissions from daily activities around the world. When credits are sold to people and organizations, like Netflix, the profit is split back in Savo. Funds are distributed in 3 ways, but most importantly, over 70% of the proceeds go to the community, where they vote on how they're spent. All the amazing community-driven projects you've just seen. Looking to the future, carbon credit sales are giving young people access to education, and it's transforming lives here. In the past year alone, this community has used proceeds from carbon credits to fund more than 10,000 bursaries for students to pursue secondary and post-secondary education and to construct classrooms in more than 10 schools. a shift that wouldn't have been possible without the community.
Wildlife Works has earned the trust of the community. From the word go, everyone was included, and up to date, everyone is included.
We have to protect the animals because great-grandchildren will not know how elephant looks like. It's important to protect forests because when the trees are good, they will just pull the rain and then it's good environment. I love trees and I will plant trees until the last day.
By keeping trees standing and the soil healthy, communities here are not only protecting a valuable ecosystem that locks away carbon and allows nature to thrive and give back, but they too are seeing a positive change in their everyday lives. From basic needs like clean water and medical supplies, to new income streams, job opportunities and educational tools, and beyond that, the emotional support and connection offered by community groups, establishing an independent future for generations to come. Over its 30-year span, the Kasagao Corridor Red Plus project is expected to save over 50 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions entering our atmosphere. If we look after our wild spaces, they can look after us too.